Hello and welcome to my channel, I Want to Lose Gaming. In this video, I will be showcasing a Constellation C0 Eula with the Prototype Archaic. Her talents are at 8, 6, 10. I will be using two different stat distributions for Eula. The first one is focused on crit rate, and the second build for her burst showcase is with more crit damage. Let's start off with her crit rate build and her basic attack damage. We'll also provide her superconduct support with Fischl. Keep in mind that Cryo Regispine has 30% physical resistance. As you can see, this is fairly reasonable DPS, and she was able to quickly dispatch of our favorite volunteer, Cryo Regispine. Now let's try incorporating her burst as well. Now, I decided to actually swap out early because otherwise I felt like her normal attacks were going to take out Cryo Regispine. Even with just a partially stacked burst, Eula easily did over 100,000 damage to Cryo Regispine. But now let's try pushing her burst damage to the limit. We'll be doing this against Primo Geovishap, who also has 30% physical resistance. 600,000 damage for a Constellation C0 Eula with the Prototype Archaic is very impressive. My Constellation C0 Hu Tao couldn't do this much with a free-to-play weapon. Next, I wanted to talk about Eula's performance in the current Abyss. And I wanted to start off by talking about how Eula's burst costs 80 energy. This is pretty steep for a burst, and as such, all my supports are able to help provide energy to her in some way, whether it's through cryoparticles or through Favonius particles. Now do keep in mind that one way to bypass her energy problems is to simply retry an Abyss chamber with full energy at the beginning. For example, you can do a run through Abyss and wreck Abyss 12-1 and finish the chamber with no energy. Then you can redo the run, but also fill up her entire team's bursts. This way you will start 12-2 with full energy. Regardless, in these runs that I'm showcasing, I don't do that, and these are all from the same Abyss 12 run. Anyway, the objective of Eula's playstyle is to gain stacks on her burst, and then position herself in a way for her burst explosion to hit as many things as possible. I haven't tried her with Venti or Sucrose yet in Abyss 12, but I imagine them to be decent teammates for Eula, in order for them to group up enemies for her burst explosion to hit. But so far, my personal favorite way to run her for consistency and for ease of use is this double cryo double geo team with Zhongli. Of course, Zhongli is completely broken, so I don't need to go over his kit, but any cryo support with Favonius will help a ton with Eula's energy problems. I personally chose Rosaria because I like her a lot more than Kaya, and my Rosaria is also only at Constellation 2, so her constellations don't really affect this run. Traveler is here simply for Geo Resonance and to help a tiny bit with the Abyss lectures later on, but she's not really playing much of a role in this run. 12-2-1 is the typical chasing down flies and trying to kill them. There's nothing really notable to say here except for that it's annoying as always. For 12.3.1, the easy part was actually killing the Lectors with Eula's damage. Eula's burst did an impressive 223,000 damage to each of them, and with the Cryo Resonance and Rosaria's burst, Eula's crit rate should be at 100% if I remember correctly. Now, unfortunately, Eula's cryo application isn't great, so she's not ideal for breaking the Abyss Lector's shields. And frankly, neither Zhongli or Traveler are great at breaking their shields either. But they still managed to get the job done without too much effort. I also wanted to demonstrate another team archetype for Eula, which is with Electro Superconduct support. Now, I personally don't like this team as much as the previous team because it doesn't have Zhongli, but it's still quite formidable. And frankly, you can replace one of the cryo characters with Zhongli. And also just for completion's sake, I decided to run this team in the second half of Abyss 12 to demonstrate her capabilities in the latter half as well. 12.1 Part 2 was a bit more annoying without Zhongli rooting the Wooper Flowers, but it was still surprisingly effortless for Eula to catch both the Wooper Flowers with her burst. And instead of expediting 12.1, I decided to build up their bursts in preparation for the Zoo of Death, 12.2. Next is the beloved 12.2.2, full of adorable animals that want to murder you. Now, with all the cryo on the team, the enemies were frozen quite a bit, and even with Eula's Shatter, they were still crowd controlled for quite a lot of the fight. It also appears that I forgot to use her Hold E after her burst, but oh well. And since her burst didn't hit this high HP boar, it was quite the time waster as Eula had to wallop it to death exclusively on its own. I also didn't use Eula's burst correctly against the Abyss Mage, but even with such a subpar run, this Constellation 0 Eula with the Prototype Archaic was easily able to handle this. My objective here wasn't to get perfect runs, but really to show practical and reasonable runs with this character. 12.3.2 would be a lot smoother if I had an Nemo character to group them up. Here we can see her burst is still doing a ton of damage to everything around her. Both 12.2.2 and 12.3.2 were incredibly sloppy, but nonetheless, Eula was still easily able to handle both of these floors with very little difficulty. So far, what do I think about Eula? Well, at Constellation 0, she's actually a really fun and dynamic character to use. She feels like a very strong and balanced character. However, she does have some energy problems and rotation issues that I may highlight in another video. One good thing about Eula is that there is nothing in the game that she cannot kill. Unlike a character like Ganyu who can't do anything to Cryo Slimes, or Klee who can't do anything against Pyro Slimes, Eula doesn't really have this problem as a physical DPS character. Of course, the drawback is that there are a lot more enemies that have higher physical resistance than other types of resistances. And I really wanted to emphasize that everyone's game accounts and everyone's bank accounts are different. Your mileage will vary with your different support options and weapon choices for Eula. But that's also what makes Genshin Impact a beautiful game. Everyone's experience is unique and wonderful in their own way. So what did you guys think about Eula's performance in this video? My next videos on Eula will include comparisons between some of her popular weapon options, like the Prototype Archaic, Wolf's Gravestone, and Song of Broken Pines, as well as potentially some more videos on how to utilize Eula to her maximum potential. So be sure to subscribe if you'd like to see that. Thanks for watching. As always, I appreciate every single one of you. This is I Went to Lose, signing out.
難攻不落。
震えなさい。わめきなさい。走行のオン。砕け散れ。